Hello, dear friends. The media are trying to convince us that nothing is happening, so as not to panic. But the financial news is boiling over. This turbulence is related to the global financial reset, but nobody said it would be easy. Opinion piece. Global revolution. Regime change. Systemic debacle. Another volatile week. 11 days of turmoil. Cryptocurrency collapse. The contagion is not over. Dispute between Brussels and Switzerland. Banking jitters persist. Bailout fails to calm the market. Bank bailout is a disaster. Bargains lure opportunists. Is August the deadline to prepare? Crisis could lead to something bigger. A lunar and solar eclipse this spring. The Trilateral declares its self-proclaimed world order. Let's start. What is happening now is something that has never happened before in the history of humankind. We are witnessing the first global revolution in history, writes Benjamin Fulford. The riots in France, the military disobedience, the Muslim unification, the collapse of Credit Suisse, and many more events around the world are interconnected signs. It is all part of a global transformation. The end result will be both mind-blowing and liberating for humankind and life on Earth in general. Fulford believes Credit Suisse bankruptcy leads to financial system debacle. Now, how none of the so-called mainstream news pieces on Credit Suisse talk about the real reason it is collapsing and why the UBS takeover and Swiss government bailout could fail and could drag in the Fed, the Bank for International Settlements, the IMF, the World Bank, the UN, etc. In the Middle East, for example, the various countries in the region, including Egypt, Turkey, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, have decided to stop selling their oil in exchange for numbers on the bank's computers. This is why Biden has been forced to drain the strategic oil reserve. Not for nothing did Musa Ibrahim, former spokesman for Muammar al-Gaddafi, say that, in quotes, what is happening between Saudi Arabia and Iran and the Chinese control is not a small thing. It is an international power shift. Close quotes. The same is happening with China and other Asian countries now demanding payment in real goods, such as gold and physical products from Western countries. In Africa, a group of countries has asked for Russia's help to prevent the French from taking their resources. This alliance between the South, the East, and the White Hats is causing an implosion of the Western financial system and regime change in a variety of countries. Balance sheet. 11 days of turmoil that brought down 4 banks and left the 5th reeling. The speed with which 4 banks collapsed and 1 continues to struggle has left investors reeling. While the failures occurred in the span of just 11 days, the scenarios that brought them down were unique. A lunar and solar eclipse snake into spring. 2 eclipses, one of the sun and one of the moon, feature in the sky this spring, which began yesterday, Monday, and will last 92 days and 18 hours, ending on 21st June with the start of summer. One characteristic of the spring is the length of the day, which is lengthening rapidly, and so each day will down 1 minute earlier than the previous day. and in the evening it will get dark more than 1 minute later. Thus, from the beginning of the season, the time the sun is above the horizon increases to almost 3 minutes each day. Opinions. Whichever way you look at it, this bank bailout is a disaster, says Ben Marlow. Robert Kiyosaki calls the Fed both a fireman and an arsonist. Billionaire investor Leon Cooperman sees a self-induced crisis. Elon Musk warns that the banking crisis could lead to something bigger. The banking system could be on the brink of collapse. It looks like if it may finally be in the early stages of the collapse that everyone has been talking about for the last 15 years. The rescue of Silicon Valley Bank is about saving investment flows into China's sensitive aerospace and defense companies. Silicon Valley Bank functioned as a bridge between dollars and Chinese investment in aerospace and defense, according to Ethan Huff. According to Mike Adams, the Credit Suisse bailout combined government liquidity with the seizure of Tier 1 bank bonds to achieve an overnight merger with UBS Bank, bypassing any shareholder vote and destroying tens of billions in assets, and the banking contagion will continue to spread. Cryptocurrency. The global financial crisis started in cryptocurrency, moved to Silicon Valley, and spread to Europe. Mike Adams believes the contagion is not over and will only get worse and become more widespread. Kevin O'Leary believes there is a 100% chance of another crypto debacle. Fewer banks are accepting cryptocurrencies. Those that do could face more risk. Crypto companies are turning to a shrinking list of depositories that are still willing to take their business. Financial YouTubers who promoted FTX have been hit by a $1 billion lawsuit. Amazon will lay off another 9,000 employees. Current news or breaking news. Feeling cold and broke on the first day of spring, Wall Street closes in the green after financial storm subsides. Central banks say they will boost the flow of dollars into the global financial system. Lagarde says the ECB is ready to ensure financial stability. The Fed will pause and raise interest rates by 25 basis points. Fed leads global liquidity surge as banking crisis deepens. Emergency banking measures fail to calm markets. Another volatile week for stocks as investors' fears soar. Survivors of the banking crisis remember how quickly the dominoes can fall. Discounted bank assets attract opportunists. Bank runs and failures will trigger a run on gold and silver. Gold rises above $2,000 after 1 year hiatus. The reopening of the Chinese economy sparks a wave of gold buying. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China is the world's largest bank. Flagstar Bank buys most of Signature Bank's deposits. New York Community Bank buys a large part of Signature. The First Republic Bank, the next domino to fall. First Republic shares fall by almost half as people pull their money out. The sandwich generation accumulates an average of $7,000 on their credit card. Analysts warn investors to dump 10 big S&P 500 stocks before it's too late. The Development Bank of Latin America disburses $285 million to Argentina. Swiss crisis. Credit Suisse received a clean bill of health for regulators a week before going bankrupt. UBS evaluates sweeteners to keep Credit Suisse wealth bankers. Credit Suisse falls more than 60% and UBS more than 10% after merger deal. European supervisors distance themselves from Credit Suisse bailout. Dispute erupts between Brussels and Switzerland over Credit Suisse bailout deal. The takeover of Credit Suisse shocks the London banking sector. Anger and tears from Credit Suisse staff after the historic takeover of UBS. Stunned Credit Suisse staff fear an ascending future. Credit Suisse 9,000 job cuts are a foretaste of the UBS takeover. Credit Suisse collapse burns Saudi investors. Last year, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the National Bank of Saudi Arabia to make $1.5 billion investment in Credit Suisse that his financial advisors had doubts about. Miscellaneous. Is August the deadline for getting ready? David Dabine joins Jim Price on the Jim Price Show to talk about the change and discuss his ideas on what we can do to prepare. White hats on hold for Trump on Tuesday by Michael Baxter. Donald Trump asked General Smith not to intervene. Trilateral Commission declares 2023 is year one of this new world order. The 15th anniversary of the Trilateral Commission marks the culmination of its self-proclaimed new international economic order. On 12 March, the Trilateral held its plenary meeting in New Delhi, India, to discuss issues related to globalization. The author of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, is freaked out by its creation. Sam Altman claims it is the greatest technology humankind has never developed. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman admitted to being a little scared about creating ChatGPT and how people might use it, but stresses that it could be the greatest technology ever developed. Giant alien spacecraft captured by the James Webb Space Telescope. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.